You probably think that you know how to read, and you do, but this is about reading for law school. Reading for law school is different than the reading you've done most of your life. When you read magazines or newspaper articles, usually you're looking for information. You want to know who won the game last night, or what time the movie starts. And you're not likely ever to pick up that newspaper or magazine again and use those words to plan for a future movie night or to check out some future sports score. Reading cases is different. Lawyers use cases both to learn the law and to predict what judges will do in the future. And cases are very much about words. Now, I'll also say this, it's probably not the most efficient way to learn the law by reading cases, but it is the way that law schools teach you the law. So one of the things that you'll discover in reading cases is that there is a whole lot going on all at once. Sometimes we read cases to learn what the law is. We can read a case that reminds us that it is against the law to commit murder. Other times we read cases to find out how laws are interpreted. A court will take a set of facts and figure out whether a particular individual actually committed murder, given that the facts of the case are as they are. So we're reading cases for a lot of reasons. Sometimes lawyers use cases as a sword, sometimes as a shield. But we can't just throw a set of Xerox pages at our adversary and hope that they understand what we think the law is. We have to use the words of the cases as our sword or our shield. And sometimes just one word can make a difference. Reading cases and understanding what they say and what they stand for is legal analysis. And learning to use those cases to the benefit of your client involves critical thinking. And so you've got to read very carefully and figure out how the case is relevant to what you want to do. The good news is you actually will get better with practice. So I'm pretty sure that you'll discover in reading law school cases that you're going to want to read them twice, maybe even 3 times. But before we talk about what you're reading for, let's talk about what's a case. A case is a judicial opinion written by a judge resolving a legal issue. So the first thing you're going to want to look at is, in a case, who instituted the lawsuit or who brought charges? That's going to tell you who the parties to the case are. Who sued whom or who charged whom with a crime? And what is the lawsuit seeking? Who sued whom for what? Or charges were brought for what? That will tell you the objective of the case. What had happened that made the plaintiff believe that a lawsuit was appropriate, or the prosecutor to believe that charges were appropriate? This involves the facts, and you're going to want to know what happened to give rise to this lawsuit. And what's the basis for the plaintiff believing that relief is appropriate, or the prosecutor for believing that charges should be filed? This involves the legal theory. And then, how did the person sued or charged respond? This is the defendant's response. So in your first time through, all you want to find out is the players and what the nature of the lawsuit's about. The second time through, or maybe even the third, you're going to want to turn to the legal content of the case. What questions did the court have to decide? These are the legal issues. What did the court ultimately decide? That's the holding. Why did the court decide the way it did? That's the rationale, and in many instances you're going to discover that that is probably the most important part of the case. And then once the court made the decision, what did they actually do with the case before it? Did they send it back to the lower court for more action? Did they affirm it and everything's over? But you're going to want to find out legally how the case progressed. So if I can summarize, there's a lot going on when you're reading cases. You're reading to learn what the law is. You're reading to learn that if you create a negligent condition and somebody gets hurt, that's probably an actionable tort. You're reading cases to learn the facts. So you're learning that a particular set of circumstances either was or wasn't actionable negligence. You're learning to figure out how courts involve policy in their decisions and how they come to what they view as a just result. And we, as your professors, are hoping that we're helping you learn to use cases for all of those different reasons, so that then you'll be equipped, like lawyers, to use cases for the benefit of your clients.